Good afternoon, everyone. This is Jared Rand, and welcome to the Global Guided Meditation Call for Friday, September 30th, 2022, a little after 3 p.m. Eastern. We'll be having a reverse aging health call tonight at 9 p.m. Eastern. We're going to go into some detail about, well, let's just say, some real impactful applications. Interestingly, for us, happiness is our nature. It is not wrong to desire it. What is wrong is seeking it outside when it is inside, Ramana Marisha. Most of us believe that happiness is outside of us. Person, place, whatever it may be. And we seek this outside of ourselves. So we seek happiness. You know, you've heard the term, I'm looking for a person that will make me happy. And that's seeking outside of ourselves. Or this will make me happy. Will this make you happy? And we've gotten so caught up in that forever, really. And it's the ego-mind's direction of yesterday and tomorrow. So many of us don't believe that the happiness that we seek is within us. Always has been. It's always there. Never goes anywhere. Full boat. Imagine that. You spend lifetimes seeking happiness outside of yourself when the happiness is within you. You're the happiness, the God that you are in that body. We design, let's just say that you've designed a movie, right? It's an incredible film, just came out. It's called The Amazing Life. Put your name in there. And you're the main star of it. You've single-handedly produced this movie, directed the entire show, set the stage, hired the entire cast. All the while, you're playing the lead part. So you've definitely got to be amazingly talented. There may have been only one tiny little issue along the way. When you were designing this movie, acting out the scenes on stage, choosing your cast, you started feeling all the intense drama about your production. And we think that you might have contracted a bit of amnesia. You may have forgotten that you are playing an imaginary role on a temporary stage that you set up in this blockbuster motion picture. Sometimes when we've been playing a certain role for so long, we forget that it's just one little part in the bigger play. Anytime that we get wrapped up in our personal drama about this show, we always have the option to step off the stage, sit down and say no to all the hype, and begin watching from the seats in the back of the theater. Whenever we feel the movie of our life has become too dramatic and not so enjoyable, we can remember that we have the choice to unplug the projector, turn down the volume on the audio, and take a peaceful walk out in nature. Now, on your walk, you think about how all of the drama you've experienced inside this main lead actor is your life's movie, right? And your life's movie is not real. You have simply over-identified with the painful thoughts and feelings simply because things didn't turn out exactly the way your ego wanted them to go. Any over-identification with the role you're playing in the movie of your life is what causes all your suffering. If and when you try to run away and escape from this role, you might spend many years in hiding. feeling lost and confused about what's the true movie script for you. What is it that is listening? What is it that is feeling? Feel it. Sense it. Welcome it. Arishante. We have been given the opportunity to play out a special part in this movie. We have a certain character, naturally, about you, right? You may change jobs, relationships, and homes, yet remember that who you truly are never changes. You'll always have this absolute pure blank screen presence that is completely free from the images cast upon it. Discover how you can participate in this movie and yet not become a slave lost within it. Your main quest is to be free. Find deep feelings of being loved, at peace, abundant, and happy no matter what actors, scenes, or scripts you're engaged in. You must choose to make the deepest commitment to yourself, to detach from your greatest drama, in order that you can truly serve your main life mission here. You will know how to live your life purpose when you learn how to stop the constant movie that is playing inside your mind. This is the only way to stop the drama completely. The reward is that you'll experience a radical freedom, complete happiness, and unending bliss. You don't have to completely step off the movie stage and sit down in the audience forever. Just learn how to sit back in your director's seat and enjoy the show as it naturally unfolds on its own. You are the main VIP member and producer in charge, so you can ask the movie to play out any scene you want. And yes, you'll truly appreciate all the drama so much more because you'll know that everything is not happening to you, but for your awakening. Now, if and when you need help getting unstuck from the emotional drama, one practical way to instantly stop drama or trauma in its tracks is asking the question, who am I? Now, if and when you need help getting unstuck from the emotional drama, one practical way to instantly stop drama or trauma in its tracks is asking the question, who am I? Look deep inside. Feel into it. Think about who you are, not as any identity, but pondering what it is that is aware of this identity forming around you. The mind is always creating new ideas about who you are and who you're not. Yet, how often does your mind think about who is aware of these thoughts and where they are coming from? When you can summon the courage and patience to sit for hours with real self-inquiry, you will stop clinging so much to these thoughts that are creating your drama. You are not who you think you are. Break free from this hypnotic identity spell and find out the truth. Explore the essence of who you really are. Know yourself intimately and understand what it takes to drop your attachment to your drama completely. Take the time to investigate the real me. Your life is worth it. The thought, who am I? The thought, who am I, will destroy all other thoughts. And like the stick used for stirring the burning pyre, it will itself in the end get destroyed. Then there will arise self-realization. Ramana Maharishi. The moment you stop taking life so personally, you'll find a healthy, detached perspective again. You can realize that you are much, much, much more than those problems circulating in your head. The truth of your being is vast and very spacious. You'll discover this boundless presence inside you and know that it is also inside everything and everybody. When you understand and live this truth every day, you can simply laugh at what happens on the golden screen. Nothing can stick to you when you've realized your true infinite nature. Whenever you question reality and look very closely and deeply at who you really are, you will always find something liberating. The bigger truth is that this vast, spacious, infinite presence commands the screen. Once you've truly detached from the mind, you'll experience a greater freedom from your life's drama. And the problems happening on your inner movie screen will lose power over you. You will see that you were always sitting in the director's chair all along, and you won't be so easily tempted to jump back into the drama role. It's a choice to start this new sense of freedom in your life by experiencing this deep, profound bliss inside you today. It's your choice, whether you enjoy it or not. It's always there because bliss is our true nature. It's our true nature. The miracle is that as you awaken, so too does the whole universe. Pure Velioff. This world has a natural order and perfection within it. This divinely orchestrated universe is easy to see, feel, and experience when we simply focus our attention in its direction. As you know, what you put your energy on grows stronger. The more you take time to look for the beauty and the perfection around you, the more you'll see, feel, and experience the awesome divine energy that is within all beings and things on, in, above, and below this planet. It's only your mind that stops you from perceiving the divine in every experience, person, and thing. The mind tends to complain about things that it perceives as bad or wrong because these things are not in alignment with its plans and expectations. The mind would like everything to go according to its agenda and can think it is the supreme ruler of its universe. And truly, it has no idea how your whole life is going to look once it is finished. While the mind may grumble and get upset about certain experiences, you can always step back from the mind and see the gift in every perceived negative event. Wherever there is an open mind, there's the possibility of seeing the positive within everything. By looking at any event with humility and a long, deep, quiet curiosity, the perception pendulum inside the mind will swing from negative to positive. With enough childlike innocence and courageous introspection, we will start to understand that everything happens for a bigger purpose. This reason is not always evident at first, yet each event is always created by an all-loving, intelligent universe that is helping us to live our lives' mission all the time. If life were a big, beautiful puzzle, the mind would only be able to perceive one piece of that puzzle and not the entire assembled masterpiece. The conscious mind is big enough, isn't big enough to understand how all of the pieces of this deeply complex universal puzzle of life all fit synchronistically together. Only when the mind drops can we watch a glimpse and catch a glimpse of the bigger picture. Only when it is one with this universe will it truly understand and see this perfection everywhere, all the time. The universal grand design is already perfectly in place. All the pieces of this mysterious puzzle are exactly right, even if the mind judges them not to be. The perceived imperfections that we see are actually our path to freedom. We see the purpose of the mind is to continually grow, open, learn, and expand to the point that it realizes it is one with this universal mind. The mind creates these misperceptions just so it can one day know what perfection is truly and really appreciate it. We really don't know what love is until we've experienced the loss of love. Everything has its opposite to give us contrast so that we can have many different experiences to learn and grow from. The mind often gets in the way of us seeing and knowing that this perfection is all around us. It believes it is solely responsible for managing our entire world, and that if one little thing is not right, it throws a huge raging fit. It tends to think that it's the general manager of this universe. If your world does not seem perfect to the mind right now, take a giant step back from the mind. This will help you to experience a more universal perspective. Once you get even a tiny glimpse of this awesome, divine, holographic conscious matrix, the mind will be humbled. Relax a bit and start to see more of the divinity in everything. When you decide, take a block of time, maybe a week, maybe this upcoming week, since this one is ending. Drop the critical, analytical, judgmental mind and notice the divine perfection within everything and everyone. So we invite you to spend your time looking for how perfect and utterly amazing this world is, exactly as it is. When you wake up in the morning, start with noticing the perfection of the habit of your mind. What is it typically thinking about and attempting to create in your life? Be curious and accept whatever it is doing. Don't fight it. Just see that it is perfect. Then get out of bed, take a look at yourself in the bathroom mirror, see the perfection of this divine soul in a physical body looking back at you. Then notice the perfection of the weather. No matter what it is, whether it's super hot, freezing, or raining, proclaim this too is perfect. While at work, Notice how others are absolutely perfect just the way they are, especially if you don't like them. Notice how perfect this job is for you. Or, if you're unemployed, notice how being free from work is exactly what you needed to manifest this new amazing career that is coming your way. Let your every experience be perfect and unfold exactly as it will. When eating a meal, notice the perfection of the food. While you are driving, focus on how perfect it is if someone cuts you off in traffic, or if there's a traffic jam 25 miles long. See the perfection in your children, partner, or housemate. At the end of the day, bathe in the deep knowingness that is all divine. Just spend all your time exploring the feelings in your body, mind, and heart that everything is perfect and exactly as it should be. Notice how different you feel after spending the day acknowledging the perfection in everything. You will see that this habit creates a new perspective on this life that does something very magical to your entire being. It allows the mind-body to let go and come to a deeper sense of peace and trust. When you trust this universe, your ability to manifest your desires dramatically increases. You start naturally sending out a higher vibration of energy that attracts you what you desire. Let go of the mind and start enjoying the perfection that is around you, from the smallest flower to the tallest skyscraper. We have this propensity to ignore ourselves. It's not like we're doing it on purpose, because we're not. You know, we're in these bodies. We're in this stage, this grand movie that we've created for ourselves. But we're very judgmental on ourselves and everything outside of us. And that's why, because the mind, the ego mind, is in charge. And so when you look outside of yourself, the mind is always going to be judging, commenting, criticizing, because it doesn't believe that what you're looking at is what it wants. So therefore it's flawed. And so people say, well, how the heck can you step outside the mind? What is? Because a lot of people, they don't get that. They don't understand what that means, stepping outside of the mind. And what it means is that you focus on your breath, easy and slowly in through the nose and easy and slowly out through the mouth, and you're in the now. This is how you begin. First, you learn that you're in the now because of your breath, and then you keep practicing staying in the now. No matter what happens outside of you, no matter what the mind, the ego, is trying to pull you towards, you can always focus on your breath, and you're in the now. It's a moment-to-moment understanding. You move moment to moment. Okay? And how do you know that what happens is that your mind chatter's gone. And ego mind doesn't exist in the now. It's not there. So you're not being pulled into yesterday or tomorrow. Okay? And the ego mind lives in yesterday and tomorrow. So the ego mind wants you to be in yesterday and tomorrow. And one of the most powerful things we have while in these bodies is the breath. And then all the thoughts, they're programs, billions of them that fly by like clouds in the sky. Those aren't there either. In fact, You aren't thinking anymore in the now. Because the mind and the ego is not there. It doesn't make sense to continually practice being in the now through the breath. So when you're in the now, you know when you're in the now, you drop into the heart mind, not the head, not the ego, because it's not there. So you automatically go into the heart mind. This is how we begin to master our ego mind. Okay? We master them because we can watch them when we leave them alone, when we move into the now. So we watch them. We don't judge them. Because remember, the mind ego isn't there, so there's no judging. So you just watch them. And you see how they operate. You can see how they bring thoughts in. You can see how they manipulate you, how they direct you, how you respond to certain things, what you do about this or do about this or do this or do that. This is what you're watching. So at the times that you slip out of the now, you begin to realize that this is an ego thought or that's an ego response. This is the mind directing, and the mind is not in charge. Neither is the ego. You are in charge. You are the director, producer. You are all of it. So you begin to discover this. And like I say, there's no race, but you discover it because you've chosen to. No one's forcing you or banging on you to do that. And it's very important and crucial while we're in the now to be gentle, kind, generous, and humble with ourselves at all times, and be in the highest of the deepest eternal gratitude at all times. Absolutely paramount. And it's not difficult to do that when you get on track with it. Most of us aren't used to it. Most of us are used to following the ego mind, jumping on ourselves, getting hard on ourselves, and not thinking about gratitude. It's interesting, for example, let's say that any one of us, had to sleep on the ground. That we didn't have anywhere to sleep, so we slept on the ground, right? And we didn't have any cover, right? So we just slept on the ground. Eventually, we were able to get a sleeping bag. Wasn't new, used, so we aired it out and everything. So we got a sleeping bag. Now, we're on the ground in a sleeping bag. We do have some cover because the sleeping bag covers us to a certain extent. Then after a while, we get used to the sleeping bag and used to being on the ground with the sleeping bag. But then we take that for granted. See how it works? So then a while longer, we end up with a tent. And the tent has a floor. So you're no longer right directly on the ground. And you have the sleeping bag on the floor of the tent. And you're covered and you have shelter. And you're absolutely blissful because of the fact you're so excited that you have a tent, that you're in the tent, and you have kind of a dwelling, and you have the sleeping bag. And at first, you're in such appreciation and gratitude for it. But then as time goes by, it becomes regular. Okay? You don't say to yourself how grateful you are for this or that, whatever. Now, time continues to go by, and you end up getting a bed, okay? And you're absolutely ecstatic. A mattress. Instead of the sleeping bag on the floor, you've got a mattress. And the first time you get in the mattress, you're so used to sleeping on the floor that you end up sleeping back on the floor because the mattress is uncomfortable because your body's not used to the mattress. Right? So as time goes by, you then begin to adjust to the mattress, and you're very happy and grateful because your sleep is so much better. And then after a while, okay, you end up with a dwelling, a hard fixed dwelling and not a tent. And you're ecstatic. You're absolutely ecstatic. It has a room, and it has a kitchen, and it has a place for your bed. And it's just the best thing that you've ever experienced. And you're humbled and you're grateful. But as time goes by, it's regular. The gratitude's not there. The thankfulness, appreciation's not there. You see how it works? This is the ego mind. And the ego mind directs us to never be satisfied. To never be satisfied. It's like people that are currently poor and have been, right? They don't know what it's like to be poor. Seriously. Because they haven't been wealthy first. When you're wealthy, then you're poor. Then you know what being poor is. There's a comparison. But if you're always wealthy, right, you don't know what poor or poverty is. And vice versa. There's always a yin and a yang. There's always a balance. And so if you talk to somebody who's very wealthy and you ask them, do you know what poverty is? Have you ever experienced poverty? And they freeze and they go, no, I don't talk about poverty. No, I don't. I've been wealthy my whole life. Okay? And then when you talk with someone who's poor, you don't know what it's like to be poor. And they look at you like you're after a rocker. But they really don't, because they've never been wealthy. First, you've got to be wealthy before you can be poor. And I know that sounds strange to some people, but you've got to remember that we've all been in an encasement where we were only told certain things. And it doesn't necessarily mean that what we were told was in our best interest. And when the more creative we become, the more godly we become. When our creativity comes to a climax, when each moment of our lives are filled with creativity, we live in God also. Many of us do not understand that the greatest shift any of us can have in this lifetime is the experience of full self-realization, which means that you know emphatically, perfectly, exactly, uncontestedly, that you are the God in the body. And a lot of people ask, well, what the heck is self-realization? There's a lot of different definitions which point to it. Yet ultimately, it's a fancy word for realizing that the unlimited, all-powerful, omniscient self, who you truly are. This means we must go beyond every idea, concept, and boundary which we've defined ourselves to be. Because it's all false. It is an endless journey where we not only realize that we are beyond this physical form all day long, yet we have a direct experience of it with everything and everyone. We feel and sense a reverence for the spiritual being we truly are that is not separate from this world around us. It is the most profound awakening process one can have which expands within you every moment of the day, becoming an integrated aspect of everyday life. There really is no deeper transformation in consciousness that any human can have than becoming self-realized. The change in perspective is so completely radical and utterly life-morphing that nothing else can compare. The most profound experience of our lives, take the most profound experience of your life and then stretch it so it continuously grows and expands 24 hours a day. This gives you a taste of what self-realization is like. Our entire experience of reality is so different, it's as if you had been an Eskimo living for 70 years in the Arctic Circle, and then one day you decided to pack your bags and permanently move to Hawaii. The reason why it is so important to understand how ridiculously different the experience of self-realization is because it helps the mind drop any possible attempts to formulate a hardened concept about it. What it actually is cannot be grasped by the mind. The more the mind tries to think that it knows what self-realization is, the further we drift away from the experience of it. There is no mental concept in this universe that can prepare us for self-realization, other than a perpetual willingness to surrender into the mystery and curiosity of it. We would all like a formula for a way to live life that is more enlightened and liberating. Wouldn't we? The problem is that every formula that works once is not going to work forever. All formulas last for a limited period of time, and then we outgrow them. This is because the nature of our consciousness is meant to expand, become more flexible and diversified. It is only through absolute surrender to this infinite universe can self-realization be invoked and gifted to you. And this level of surrender means we're inviting in the feeling that anything is possible. Anything is possible. Anything is possible, which means you must choose to let go of just about everything you've known to be true. And it's not easy to let go of our beliefs, yet it is the only way we will ever find the experience of being truly free. To identify oneself with the body and yet to seek happiness is like attempting to cross a river on the back of an alligator. To identify oneself with the body and yet to seek happiness is like attempting to cross a river on the back of an alligator. Ramana Marisha. Now, to begin this seemingly impossible spiritual quest for freedom, it all begins with inquiring into the source and center of who and what we actually are. When we relax, meditate, and dive into the center of you, there you will first find the mind and its stories about you. The infinite experience of you is behind these thoughts. It comes from diving into the center of your presence, your essence. And there you can go into it for infinity. There is always another experience within the center of each experience. Eventually, this is how we become centered with our spiritual essence. There is always another experience within the center of each experience. And eventually, this is how we become centered with our spiritual essence. In this life, it is always the most random, expansive feelings which redirect our attention away from who we think we are. In this life, it is always the most random, expansive feelings which direct our attention away from who we think we are and towards rediscovering our unlimited creative source of consciousness. If you notice, whenever you talk about yourself, you usually refer to the words me, my, or I. When you feel into the experience of me, my, or I, what do you notice and perceive is there? Look for a long period of time. You must be infinitely patient with this inquiry because it is the first step towards uncovering the real you and is vastly deep and transforming. The longer that you can maintain a focus of inquiring who or what I am, the faster you will realize the shocking truth of who and what you actually are. Imagine that who you are is contained within the small dot inside a big, huge circle. The dot is the self you believe you are. You can visualize this. It's really easy. I've done it before. This means everything which you have identified with that can be written down on paper. Your name, friends, job, your gifts, physical appearance, your attitude, personality, and the way others see you is all part of your identity. Now the dot, remember this big white page, big white canvas, big circle, right, drawn, and a dot right in the center of it. Visualize that. The dot represents your mind with all the information stored inside it. As well, your emotions, memories, beliefs, and every piece of good and bad information inside your physical body. That's what that dot represents. Everything you know to be true, you, about your reality, is contained within a tiny dot. Now, the circle around the dot represents everything in our future we have yet to see, experience, know, and learn. It contains our intuitive higher self that says who and what we are includes the ego, mind, and body, yet also welcomes everything beyond it as well. Meaning, you could find yourself knowing who you are is not just your body, yet anything around you. You could feel yourself to be a tree, an animal, plant, person, the sun, the moon, the stars, the planets. You could extend your idea of yourself into anything and everything in this entire universe. The circle represents every piece of information you don't know is on Google, as well as in all the buried ancient history books and Akashic records throughout time. Now, if you look closely at the circle, you'll see there is an outer circumference where the black edge meets the pure white background. This white background can expand into infinity. This edge represents the edge of the unknown and is where the experience of self-realization is found. We must not only let go of identifying ourselves as a body-mind, yet also be continuously expanding our sphere of what we know is the unknown and surrender to the unknowable. This white background can expand into infinity. This edge represents the edge of the unknown and is where the experience of self-realization is found. We must not only let go of identifying ourselves as a body-mind, yet also be continuously expanding our sphere of what we know is the unknown and surrender to the unknowable. We can call this the infinite white expansive space, God, love, consciousness, source, or any word that works for you. However, the truth is that there is no word large enough to describe this boundaryless container, which allows for everything in this universe to play upon it. This is the great mystery of life, which every mad scientist fights with to understand. Yet the mind will always be too small of a container to get it, to fully experience and realize who and what we actually are. We must choose to release anything that can be known with the mind and surrender into the infinite mystery behind it all. It is in this direct relaxation into our foundations that we find our spiritual connections and our boundless infinite potentiality. We instantly realize that we are a spirit being who is beyond this body, beyond time, beyond all places, shapes, and forms. When you judge another, you do not define them. You define yourself. When you judge another, you do not define them. You define yourself, Wayne Dyer. By living everyday life on this outer edge of infinite possibilities, we become rooted in the deepest truth of who we truly are. We experience enlightened relationships with everyone in our lives because we see they are also a part of the mystery living in this great unknown. We then become this ever-growing expansion of godly experience that is always increasing in love, joy, and curiosity. And when we find this infinity within us, where all thoughts and forms abide in, we can resist, rest, and not resist in a state of pure consciousness. It is from this resting within the core of our real selves where we can effortlessly allow everything to be in perfect order, seeing the divine as orchestrating this universe to blossom exactly the way it needs to. The experience of self-realization really can come and go in an instant. We don't need to meditate for 40 years to get it. It all begins with the choice in each moment to let this go of any identification we have with this body-mind and exchange it for a more expansive experience of this life. So it's partly pure intention and part total surrender. We must choose to go from thinking we are limited human beings with many problems of this world to knowing we are on a great spiritual journey through an unlimited life. And this leap requires absolute risk and trust, as the nature of the mind-ego identity is to try to cling to the old. It wants to find security in that which does not change. Yet everything of this world changes, and the only thing that does not change is the infinite background. The only way to real freedom in all life is through changing our perspective. When we can shift from thinking, I live in the body, to the body lives in me, our reference point to me, myself, and I is expanded. We are no longer imprisoned to just the body and mind. We realize we are the unknowable. The identification with who we are is then found in everything. We experience this life beyond the known and unknown circles of information we think are there. Self-realization is huge. However, it is not too huge to experience it in our daily lives. For it to root and be real, we must choose to be willing to practice integrating this expansive perspective on a physical level. We must choose to find complete relaxation with all the feelings, memories, ideas of who we are now, and everything that we will become. It is through the deepest acceptance of our small self that we can expand into our unlimited selves. We are forever going to be this tiny dot that is also expanding into the infinite universe that exists around us. This is life. We have no other choice yet to accept it and relax into the deeply eternal, loving, and accepting divine blackboard that is behind it all. I'll join you in the meditation, and I'll return to close us out. Take an easy, slow breath. Relax in through the nose. And an easy and slow breath relaxed out the mouth. Be still. Patience and courage are key elements to meditating and are also a byproduct of meditation. Today's your day to become a meditation master. You've been sitting for 48 minutes every day and still can't stay focused for more than 5 seconds. It's okay. There's nothing wrong with you. Breathe. Practice compassion with yourself today by having patience with you. Let go of any need to get it perfect, and yet keep bringing your mind back to this moment. The more you can discipline your mind, the easier life will become. Discipline leads to freedom, and this is your opportunity to be radically and outrageously free. Take this with you for the rest of the day, into the evening and night, and the following morning. We'll return here tonight, Friday, September 30th, 2022, 9 p.m. Eastern, to continue our reverse aging health call. And Saturday, October 1st, 2022, 3 p.m. Eastern, to continue our global guided meditation call.